Hello, everyone. What I'm here to talk about is how companies like Kodak can take a step into the blockchain and cryptocurrency space, and how people in this room can lead those companies in the next generation of Kodaks, New York Stock Exchange listed, NASDAQ listed companies, FTSE, London Stock Exchange listed companies into this step. It's not easy, it's a big risk for them, but when you get it right, it can create some tremendous wins. So my company's called ICOX Innovations. We're a 20-person consultancy out of Venice Beach, California. I live in the Isle of Man. We've got people in Calgary and Germany and the UK as well. So, insights for large brands embracing blockchain. So our view is that every company needs a blockchain strategy, but by far not every company needs a cryptocurrency strategy. And this is really important. If you solve a real business problem and it fits with the brand's heritage and values, that's where the magic happens. And here's the magic.
After the When Digital Kodak announcement of Kodak One and the Kodak Coin, just all of a sudden, my phone started ringing off the hook. And what really came about was the idea that this is a real application for the blockchain. There's so many pseudo applications. We all know Bitcoin is important as an alternative to fiat currencies. We all know that blockchain is incredibly important. We know Ethereum is important because of smart contracts, but very few companies have actually demonstrated that they can do something with the blockchain and with a coin around a real industry problem. And the real industry problem here is photography.
That was the CEO of Kodak, a brilliant guy named Jeff Clark, and he comes out of he was on the board of Red Hat, he was on the board of Docker, comes out of HP operations. He completely understood what we wanted to do. And what we wanted to do was make life easier for the world's photographers. So photographers tend to take pictures. They don't know where they go on the internet. They're being used without their permission. And photographers had no idea where that use was happening, what value they could extract. And even when they did get paid, it could be 30, 60, 90, 120 days until they receive money. And those are the problems that we look to solve. At Las Vegas, the CES, when we put out a little press release in the morning that said Kodak and When Digital are launching a cryptocurrency, the Kodak Coin, and the Kodak One image rights management system, there was a small bump in Kodak stock. Anytime you put New York Stock Exchange and blockchain into a press release, the bots go crazy. In the first 7 minutes, it went through the roof. But over the overnight trading, it quadrupled the stock and added $450 million to the market cap. We also had 261 stories in all the world's top newspapers and media, 2 billion impressions, and interestingly, 80,000 signups on KodakCoin.com to request the white paper. Unbelievable response. And this is the power when you get the brand heritage, and the solution to a problem tight. So, the biggest story of CES, Kodak is back. Kodak invented the digital camera, and then had a little hiccup. And this solution, what Jeff Clark tells everyone, is it gives them a chance to be relevant again, to stand up and talk to the world about this 130-year-old Kodak brand and the power that it has, and we couldn't agree more. So, but how did we get there with Kodak? Our approach at ICOX is maybe a little different than some of the projects that we've seen presented. So we identified a real problem back in 2017. So we sat with a 30-year-old paparazzi company out of London. They had 10 million high-value images. They worked with 2,500 photographers, and they had a 75% market share of all of the images going into newspapers worldwide of celebrities. So that company was called When Digital, and we said, this is a great business, but it's dying. But there's a blockchain solution here. And they said, what's blockchain? And we said, I love hearing that. So we walked through the project with them, and they said, wow, we know a company in Germany called Ride, and they've built a copyright infringement management system. And they're taking photos, registering them, and then using Swarm technology they built themselves. Their team comes out of the Big Data Analytics Institute in Berlin. And they said, this is what we're doing. We're sending out, we're following these images around the internet, we're identifying use without license, and 60% of the people are paying on our first pass when we give them the information that they should probably take a license. So we said, wow, let's put these two together. And then we built a prototype, and then we went to see Kodak. So I think this is the key step. We solved the problem, identified a problem, solved the problem, and then went to find our big brand. At the time when we were looking at doing this, there were 12 other image rights management programs on the blockchain doing ICOs. 12, all in China and Russia, US, everywhere. And we said, look, to stand out, we think this needs to fit with a brand. And it happened that our chairman knew one of the board members at Kodak, and we walked in, and again, with Jeff Clark, the CEO's experience on Red Hat and Docker and HP, he said, this is exactly what I want. Can you be ready to launch in 90 days at CES? And that's what we did. We built the Kodak One Image Rights Management Program. We launched the Kodak Coin ICO. Our white paper came out this week after all regulatory reviews. And what we wanted to do today was share with the few of you the insights for working with large brands and how you can take some of what we've learned into your conversations with big brands, because it's happening. They are all looking to do this. As Jeff Clark said, his phone rung off the hook from Fortune 500 companies saying, how did you do that? How did you get all of this non-dilutive capital? How are you getting your brand slapped on these coins that'll be transacting all over the internet every day? And so here's a few lessons. First, solve a real problem. And you can see it in the pitches. You can tell if it's a real problem or it's a solution looking for a problem. Credibility, team, and product up front. When you're walking into a Fortune 500 or a former Fortune 500 company, you need all of those things fully in place. Not that you're going to hire 17 people with blah, blah, blah. You need to have a really strong team right off the bat. Clear regulatory position. We walked in with Fortune 500 company and said, we're going to take the highest level of regulatory approval we can get. We're going to be a security token right from day one. And we skipped all of the other noise, and that's what helped us accelerate through the legal departments of groups like Kodak. Be well funded and not feel like a startup. This was the best thing that we did. We ICOX puts funding of up to 500 grand to $1 million in each of the ICO projects that we do, and that allowed us again to build our credibility and understand the readiness of the brand. The CEO of Kodak was ready and waiting for a blockchain solution, and he had sent out a letter to the entire company months before saying, this is the future of Kodak. Everyone be on the watch, be ready. And when we walked in the door, they were ready. And lastly, be ready for the PRS storm. And when you work with a brand as big as Kodak and as high profile global, as many of those companies are going to take this step, you got to be ready. And it's not just the doubters and the naysayers and the bloggers and this. It came down to every day there are fake Kodak Coin ICO websites popped up. We have dedicated teams who do nothing else except take down fake Kodak Coin ICO websites. And the amount of fake news and negative press around this has been an incredible management ordeal. So make sure you've got your teams trained and your systems and organization ready to deal with this kind of storm. So our ICOX model, and I'll be quick, is we're a 20-person team, founding partner of When Digital and the Kodak One project. We're going to do 4 or 5 more similar sized projects per year. We've got 3 more in our pipeline right now. And we manufacture our own deals. So we tend not to invest into other people's white papers and ICOs. We manufacture our own, bring together the teams, fund them up, and then we go to market. And interestingly, we started in October, not having a clue where it was going to go, if we were going to be successful with Kodak or not. And we started filming a documentary. So from the very first negotiation sessions, we had Kodak's team and our team all mic'd up and a film crew filming us and following us. And we've been doing that for the last 5 months. So hopefully in the fall, you'll see the making of the Kodak Coin documentary come out, and we'll see if it's a Netflix or Amazon, those kind of things. But here's what happens when you get it right. When you get the brand and the solution and the market fit right, you can attract incredible talent. And we've just announced a new board member joined ICOX, and it's the Honorable Ed Moy. He's the former 38th Director of the U.S. Mint. He was the top-ranking U.S. government official who understood Bitcoin. He tracked it under George W. Bush. He had a task force reviewing it. He was totally switched on. He's only on 3 boards in the world, and he joined ours because he liked the kinds of scale of projects that we're doing. And this is what he said. He wrote this. ICOX Innovations is an organization that knows how to successfully design, build, and integrate crypto economies. I'm looking forward to being part of an organization that is focused on regulatory compliance and a team that is so forward-thinking. But you know what's really cool about Ed is if anybody here is a fan of West Wing, he was Josh Lyman for George W. Bush. He hired 3,000 people during the transition for Bush. He's hired SEC chairmen and attorneys general and secretaries this, secretaries that, and he interviewed 10 people for every one of those positions. So he is a fantastic resource, and he's loving what we're doing, and it's those kind of people that you can attract when you get the regulatory, the problem, the solution, and the market fit together. So thank you very much, everyone, for letting me speak. I really appreciate your time.